I can smell you.
So, it was the 29th of June 2023, and you know what that means. AEW Fight Forever was released in many game stores worldwide. But man, this game had somewhat of a journey. It was first revealed in November 2020, and since then, memes float around on when a release date was going to be announced. It gained a lot of hype during this period as they introduced more wrestlers that'll be included in the game itself, and the game even won an award for the best sports/racing game of 2022 in Gamescom for whatever reason. But finally, after a couple of years of teasers and gameplay reveals, they finally announced a release date, and being able to hold the cover right in my very hand, I can definitely say that I was absolutely ready for whatever Fight Forever had to bring. AEW Fight Forever's gameplay development was based around WWF No Mercy, which is a Nintendo 64 exclusive wrestling game, but it's also been debated over the years as one of the best wrestling video games of all time. I stayed up all night so I could sink myself further into the game and answer the two questions I had. Was the wait worth it? And is it more importantly, the best modern wrestling game out there? Well, to be brutally honest, yes, the wait was worth it, but no, it's not the best modern wrestling game. In this brief exam, I'll be discussing what I think about Fight Forever and see where it ranks. And to make things fair, there will be zero comparison to the WWE 2K series during this discussion. I'm going to be saving the comparison between the two when I get to my final thoughts towards the end of the video. The point of this discussion is to understand the game's pros and cons in its own merits and see if the game was a successful one or a failure on its own without comparing it to any wrestling games out there. One thing I got excited was seeing the Ukes logo appear before the game begins, and that straight away took me back to my days as a kid playing Here Comes the Pain and the SmackDown vs. Raw series. First thing I'll talk about is the main menu side, then I'll move over to the gameplay, the game mode called Road to Elite, and touch bases with some creative side and give out my final thoughts. Sounds good? Alrighty then, let's do this! The main menu is laid out pretty well, and the first thing that grabbed my attention was the match types. You have one-on-one, tag teams, 3-ways, 4-ways, ladder matches, lights out match, falls count anywhere match, battle royale, and the exploding barbed wire deathmatch. And yeah, the match types here are pretty small overall, as the game features no steel cages, no Iron Mans, and even no trios matches to name a few. Which is strange because AEW loves their trios matches. But that's probably due to the game's program only allowing to have 4 wrestlers in one ring. I'm hoping that'll expand in a later stage. I'm not going to complain about having no blood and guts match in Fight Forever, as it is their first attempt at an AEW game and the development process might be a bit complicated. Maybe that match plus more will get added in future titles. The roster overall features some of the best wrestlers on the planet, including Kenny Omega, Bryan Danielson, Adam Cole, MJF, Jon Moxley, and even CM Punk is here, which I am surprised they kept him in the game, especially after that incident a while back, but we won't talk about that. It's been done to death already and I'm tired of hearing it. Cody Rhodes is also here too, making him the first wrestler to appear in a WWE game and an AEW game in the same year. And don't forget about Christian Cage, as he became the first wrestler to be in a WWE, AEW, and a TNA video game. But I will admit that the roster seems, again, small. I'm well aware that DLC content is on the way and will feature more wrestlers to play as, but it is a shame that Daniel Garcia, Samoa Joe, Jamie Hager, Top Flight, and among others missed the cut. Maybe they'll be added in through patch updates, but who knows. The presentation and graphics aren't the best good looking graphics in a modern video game, but it looks pretty nice, clean, and almost having that cartoonish vibe. That's what I got out of it. The faces are recognizable, well, most of them at least, and I enjoy the attires they wear. The entrances are short and straight to the point, and while it only goes on for around 7 seconds, it's instantly forgiven when you have the option to change the camera and set as many fireworks off as you desire. It's pretty cool. As soon as I saw Cody, I immediately spammed the shit out of the pyro buttons. So as for the gameplay itself, and even though I was a bit negative earlier, this right here is where the game really shines. This is old school wrestling gaming at its finest. Fast-paced action to keep you locked on to what's about to happen, music playing in the background so you can jam out to, and features some smooth animations that'll make you say, wow, I actually performed that move. Dare I say, it's the most fun I've had with a wrestling game in a really long time. As I've stated, the gameplay itself is inspired by WWF No Mercy, and you can see that resemblance when you look at your meter. Your bar will fill up when attacking your opponent. The more hits you perform, the greater the bar increases. But if you get hit, then your bar will slowly go down. When your meter is full, you'll be able to execute your signature and taunt to activate your special finisher too. And if your meter is just about empty, then your meter will be labeled as danger, meaning that, well, you're fucked. The controls were tough getting used to at first, but after a few matches in, I got used to it. And the control layout does again resemble the controls back in the day. You press the R1 button to reverse strikes, and the L1 button to reverse grapples. The square button allows you to punch, the triangle button to kick, and the X button to grab your opponent. You use the D-pad to hit one of your signatures, and to perform your finishing move, you just grab, then flick the R analog stick to hit your special move to get the 1, 2, 3 victory. But to me, what really highlights this game is the hardcore side. Holy mackerel, they weren't kidding on the weapons. There's just so many to use, and there's some weapons you may never thought about having in a wrestling game, like a golf club or a floor spill sign, or even a goddamn shoe, just to name a few. There's a lot of weapons options to use, and I can't wait to explore just about every weapon I see fit. And then you have the exploding barbed wire deathmatch, which is definitely now my favorite match type in Fight Forever. The match begins with a countdown, and when that time is up, the ring fully explodes, seeing those wrestlers fall down, selling the effect. But the match does continue on until someone wins. You can throw your opponent in the ropes and watch that explosive devastation occur as you see that wrestler bleed. Oh yeah, that's another topic to discuss too. When a wrestler bleeds, the ring will get covered in blood entirely, making the match feel that much more intense than before. It honestly made me miss seeing blood in wrestling games. So, if you're into Jon Moxley and his never-ending blade job on a weekly basis, then you'll most likely be into this. So overall, I love the gameplay here, and while it's not 100% perfect and polished by any means, like here for example when I keep hitting Eddie Kingston but the game doesn't register it, that can obviously get patched in the future. AEW Fight Forever also features minigames, which were one of the biggest talking points leading up to the game's release. I do understand the variety of different gameplay segments, but I don't think it's for me, honestly. And after all, I didn't wait all this time just to partake in trivia questions and Penta Says, which is just Simon Says. Let's talk about Road to Elite, which is basically story mode. You can select a created wrestler or an existing wrestler, and it'll start off with Tony Khan signing you to a contract to join AEW and participate in the Casino Battle Royal. The aim of this mode is to witness different storylines, and as you travel around to each city you visit, you can train and eat at restaurants and go out sightseeing. They added some RPG elements to Road of Elite, like your stamina meter, and the lower it is, the more likely you'll get injured. You can earn coins to buy additional boosts for your character, and did I mention that there's collectibles as well? You can collect different t-shirts depending on which location you're at, and snapshots taking pictures with some of the AEW roster. And I honestly love this photo with Park, as it looks like he caught you stealing his slice of celery. Oh, geez, I'm so sorry, Park. I didn't realize that I took your celery. Here, you can have it back here. Take the celery. In my gameplay footage, I was in a storyline where myself, Orange Cassidy, is teaming up with Hangman Adam Page and trying to obtain the AEW World Tag Team Champions. Together, we call ourselves the, freshly Hangmans? Yeah, the name is a work in progress. We also got to take on Steen and Paul White, and I'll be calling that team Showtime, which I thought was creative. I gave myself a pat on the back for that. As by the time this video is uploaded, will be on my 3rd playthrough on Road to Elite, and I will say that it does become way too repetitive, way too quickly. And that's due to potentially partaking in the same storylines all over again, and watching the same animated cutscenes when you're out eating or training at the gym. It was fine seeing it at first, but later on I was watching it play out so many times that I just kept skipping it. Road to Elite isn't the worst story mode / career mode that I've experienced over the years, but it could really use a lot more storylines. And as for the creation side, I like the Create an Arena as you have a number of options to select from, but unfortunately I can't say the same for creating a wrestler. The options to select a hairstyle and attire seems pretty small and basic. I honestly would love it if they added more features and clothes to wear in the later patch updates. Golden Lovers! I see what you did there, Fight Forever. As a matter of fact, there's a whole lot of New Japan names, as well as names from the current AEW roster that missed the deadline to be included. Interesting. But with modifying a current wrestler, it's pretty lackluster as you can't change the color of their attire, and you can only customize their gear with what the game will only allow you to use, which does take away the creative freedom. It's a shame that there's no community creations here, as I feel like that would have been a cool feature to have, so you can download Will Ospreay and have that awesome match back at Forbidden Door. You could create the wrestler yourself if you want to, but for me at this time for my age and how busy I am, I just don't have that energy anymore to create a shit ton of wrestlers. And as far as the music goes, I really enjoy the music in the game, but Fight Forever really takes it to another level, as almost every entrance music you've heard from the AEW show is here. Even if it was only presented for a couple of shows or so, there's just so much music to listen to, and the cool thing is, you can make your own playlist and choose what kind of music you would like to listen to, in the main menu and in the match itself. And that to me is pretty freaking cool. And that is my brief exam on AEW Fight Forever. So here's what I think about it. I think it's a nice start to the series. The gameplay is absolutely enjoyable to play, the amount of carnage you can inflict onto your opponents feels satisfying, and I enjoy the music here. Road to Elite I feel needs a bit more worked on, but it's a good attempt nevertheless. And while there's little match types, an underwhelming roster size, and a lack of customizations with Create a Wrestler and modifying a wrestler, you do have to remember that this is AEW's first video game on consoles, and realistically, it was never going to surpass the WWE 2K games. I do think Fight Forever does have its moments if we really had to compare it to the 2K series, like breaking the barricade, seeing someone make their entrance during a battle royal, and being able to hold 5 titles in one entrance. But yeah, something like WWE 2K23 easily dethrones Fight Forever due to having more creative features and a number of fun game modes. Well, at least Fight Forever was more playable than 2K20 on release. But that's not to say that AEW Fight Forever was a massive flop. It did everything that it needed to do, develop a base for the game itself, and so when a second AEW game comes out, it'll be more improved because of the first game's reception. That is how a video game series works. Think about it, Spyro 2 was better than Spyro 1, Crash Bandicoot 2 was better than Crash Bandicoot 1, Batman Arkham City was better than Batman Arkham Asylum, and so on. So maybe in AEW Fight Forever 2, or whatever it's gonna get called, maybe they'll be able to have more than 4 wrestlers in a ring. Maybe there'll be more match types and a bigger roster size. And maybe, just maybe, they'll have a GM/universe mode where you can book your own AEW show. Who knows? The point is, instead of looking at this game as a major success or a disappointing mess, look at it as just a small taste of what's to come in the future. And trust me, when that second installment comes out, you better be ready for it. Do I recommend trying this game out? Well, if you love wrestling games, then I definitely would recommend it, but maybe wait until the game is on sale first, because the game to me doesn't look like it's worth $99. But that doesn't stop me from purchasing this game for $99, but I digress. But anyways, that's going to wrap up this brief exam. I thank you all so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, then make sure to leave a like, share the video, and subscribe to the channel. And as always, my name is Justin Hurst, telling you to keep calm and keep playing video games.